Hello, welcome to today's cryptocurrency price prediction video, and I'm gonna do a number of these videos in the coming days. I'm not sure if you like them. If you do, please hit that like button, of course, and dislike if you don't. But of course, I will continue to do reviews and news videos from the Polkadot ecosystem, and of course reviews of other projects as well aside from the Polkadot ecosystem and so on. But in today's video, I really want to focus on KTON, which is the most undervalued token from the Polkadot ecosystem. And this is from Darwinia Network. It is the Darwinia commitment token, which means that it generates you a lot of passive income. At the time of doing this video, it's around 2 ring for each 1 KTON for 24 hours of staking. So that is a lot, right? The ring is trading at just over 19 cents at the moment. So we're talking like almost 40 cents just for staking 1 KTON, which is worth $252 on average here. We'll take a look at MXC and talk about this, but as I was saying, this is the most undervalued Polkadot Eco token just because it's only got an $11 million market cap, and many people don't realize the potential. I just want to reiterate this before we look at the chart. The fact that you will need to use KTON, well, not you, but the developers will need to use KTON if they want to deploy a dApp on Darwinia Network, right? They will need to use KTON. They will need to lock KTON in order to deploy that dApp. So that is one of the utilities. And the second utility is for you to stake KTON to a validator. You nominate a validator, as I've showed you in a different video. Actually, in the latest news video that I did, I can point you to that. It should pop up on the top right hand corner. If you search for that and go through the Darwinia staking section of that video, you will see what I'm talking about. So basically, you stake KTON to a validator, you nominate a validator, and then you will generate almost 2 ring per day, right? It does vary quite a lot. It actually started at like 4 ring. It even started at 8 ring, I believe, quite some time ago. Then it dropped to 4 ring. Now it's at 2 ring, and it's just because there are not that many people staking anymore. So because of that, it's holding around the 2 ring range. I think it dropped a little bit below 2 ring as well. Now, just one thing to keep in mind, if you decide to unstake your KTON from the validator, you will need to wait 14 days, just like we've seen with PCX from ChainX. You need to wait 14 days and then you can unstake it, but you have to remember that the KTON that you're staking is on the substrate version, right? So because it's on substrate, you will need to swap back to ERC20 if you decide to sell, which is on the Ethereum blockchain, through their bridge. You need to use the wormhole bridge to be able to do that. And if you decide to do that, then you will need to pay a fee, which is around $120, $140. I think it depends on the day, on the Ethereum price, and so on. So unfortunately, KTON is not available on the substrate version on exchanges. The exchanges don't support it. Therefore, it doesn't make life easy for us, unfortunately, as it stands. So perhaps that's also contributing to the fact that the market cap is what it is. But again, we got to remember that Ring is in exactly the same situation. So yet Ring is at 130 million market cap. So that is over 10 times as high, actually 13 times as high. I think it's a little bit lower. I think it's like 120 million today. But yeah, just over 10x higher. And this is where I'm going to say that there's a lot of potential with KTON. This video is sponsored by WaykiChain. WaykiChain is focused on developing its own technology bottom public chain layer, and corresponding to that, an ecosystem which will foster technology research and development as well as project operation. WaykiChain is powered by the WaykiChain coin, which is currently trading at 48.5 cents on average across all the different exchanges. The circulating supply is 210 million, so there aren't that many coins released. Let's take a quick look at the price to see how it's doing on Huobi, which has a lot of liquidity and volume. So looking on Huobi here at the WaykiChain USDT pair, we can see that the price initially started off at $2.10. It had this huge crash because it happened during the bear market of 2018. And here we can see it's been trading very, very low. I mean, we had the price mostly at around 15 to 16 cents for the majority of the time. Then we had a huge crash to 2 cents. And then ever since then, we were actually on the uptrend. So we can see we've got this uptrend here, and we're constantly going up now. So it could potentially go higher. We could even see a crash, right? It is a possibility. But the fact that it's on the uptrend is a good sign because it broke out of this range here. So it could potentially go higher. We could possibly retest the $1 range, maybe even higher. It all depends on the updates and how they're going to do. This was it from today's sponsored technical analysis. Thank you for watching. So now let's take a look at the chart to see what we're talking about here. So when KTON first started trading on MXC, on the KTON USDT pair, it actually started back on the 30th of August of last year. And as you can see, it started at 445.7, but this doesn't really matter, right? Because these are just the bots trading. It only lasts for a split second, usually drops straight away in a flash. And then as you can see here, throughout the whole day, it did hold pretty well. So it went back to like 410, but you just have to remember that it lacks a lot of liquidity, right? As you can see here very, very clearly from this buy and sell orders here. So you could see here there's somebody trying to sell a lot of it at 266, but a lot of that, it lacks a lot of liquidity, right? The majority of orders are very small, right? We're talking about just over $300 here. In this one, it's only like $20, $25, $26, $28, right? So yeah, very, very small orders. It's very easy to move the price, right? The majority of the activities happen on Uniswap, and we'll take a look at that too a bit later. But I just want to show you here. So every time there's a listing, it usually causes a drop in price. And then, of course, we had a bit of a bear market, I should say, a mini bear market. Basically, it was a huge pullback from the start of the bull market from last year, towards the end of last year. And then, of course, the price traded sideways for quite some time, as you can see here, around $55 to $60. So very, very low considering what the price is at now. Things weren't looking pretty, but it was the accumulation zone. And then we had these huge spikes here to over $100. And then it dropped back down again as the bots were selling, people were selling. But really the way to actually get KTON is by locking ring. So you have to remember that the method to get it is not so straightforward. You need to actually swap your ring from ERC20 over to Substrate. Then you need to lock that ring for up to 36 months in order to maximize your KTON return. And then once you do that, you get the KTON. And of course, you have your ring locked. If you decide to unlock that ring, you'll need to pay 3 times as much KTON. And that actually burns some KTON from circulation. And that's why you're going to see a lot of fluctuations with KTON, in the sense that now it could be 45,000 in circulation. Tomorrow it could be 48. The next day it could be 42. So yeah, it does change a lot, right? It all depends on how many people are locking ring to generate KTON. Obviously, the more KTON gets generated, the more you're going to see. At the moment, the total supply is over 70,000. I believe we looked at that here. Yeah, it's 70,670. So basically what this means is, assuming that you're going to lock up all the ring that's available in circulation, that's how much KTON you could actually generate. Right, so that's how they're calculating this total supply. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the way they calculate the total supply, because this is how you generate KTON. There's no other way to generate KTON than from locking ring. So that's how that's estimated. So yeah, when all the ring coins will be unlocked or will be generated from the blocks, then we could potentially see KTON's total supply to over 250,000. I believe it was estimated at last time I chatted to Megan, who's the admin from Darwinia Network. But aside from that, I mean, even at that, like even at the maximum supply, it's still very low, right? Considering what most of the .eco tokens are at, right? The majority of them have a much higher supply, at the very least 8 million, right? Which is like Kusama, I think is like 8,900,000 or something. So yeah, it's very hard to find such a low supply token, and that's why I'm saying this is so under the radar. And yeah, let's just continue to talk about the price here. So yeah, as you can see, we've picked up. We had a few spikes here, and then we got to 320 here on MXC as the highest that we've had here last month. But aside from that, it's in the accumulation zone here, so it's looking very bullish. Sure, there could be a pullback here, but remember that we've got the parachain auctions coming up, and Darwinia are going to take part in those parachain auctions. If Darwinia bonds, then of course Darwinia is going to be in the spotlight. Aside from that, what I like with Darwinia is their marketing strategy. They're also part of the Polkadot DAO, which is the decentralized autonomous organization. So that means they're collaborating with projects like Akala Network, with Moonbeam, with Plasm, so with all the big people in the space when it comes to the Polkadot ecosystem. So that's another thing to consider before looking at KTON, right? So yeah, it's just really undervalued in my opinion. And yes, of course we could pull back a bit. Of course we could take a hit. We could even go to possibly under 200, right? If there is enough selling pressure. But the question is there enough selling pressure? I mean, are enough people locking ring to generate so much KTON in order to dump on the market? And is it worth it for them to dump on the market? Or is it more beneficial to stake that KTON and generate more ring? and therefore we're seeing Ring drop in price because of that, right? So that's something to keep in mind. So yeah, just to kind of give you my prediction here, I do think that this has the potential to go 10x from here easily before the end of this year. This is just being as conservative as possible, assuming that KTON is going to get listed on Huobi, because Ring is listed on Huobi but not KTON. So if KTON gets listed on Huobi, where there's a lot more liquidity there, I do think that this could potentially 10x at least before the end of this year, right? We need the parachain auctions, that's for sure. We need Darwinia to bond as a parachain, and we need KTON on Huobi. I mean, we need this criteria for sure. If we don't get any of that, then of course it could go like to 350, it could stabilize around 400, even 500. But to really see its potential, I think we need to see that the listing on Huobi, maybe on other exchanges too, and definitely the parachain slot for Darwinia to put them into the spotlight. And then of course, I'm not even going to say if Binance lists them. If Binance lists them, I do think that KTON has a potentially really good chance to really pump. I mean, you've seen Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi has like 45,000 supply, or no, 35,000 I think it is. And yeah, Wi-Fi, I know it's like a totally different game, right? We're talking about a DeFi token, but nevertheless, just the low supply tokens on Binance, when they get listed, they pump, right? They pump. It's as simple as that. So yeah, I'm really hyped about KTON, and that's why it's my second favorite after ChainX. And yeah, actually, if we look here on DEX tools, again, we can't see the full historical chart. I'm not sure why. Maybe DEX tools just deletes it when it gets to a certain range. So actually the furthest we can see it is the 24th of December here, when the price was low. But you can see here on DEX tools, we had similar price spikes to MXC. The chart looks very familiar to MXC, so we're forming that bull flag here. But we've had bigger spikes here. We had one which went to 409, I believe is the highest. Let me see if I can get that. Was the highest 409? Pretty sure that was it. Yeah, I can't seem to get it here. I don't know why. But yeah, 409 is the highest here. So yeah, humongous spike here. Yeah, this is the max. Yeah, there we go. See, up at the top, 409.58 with this spike here. The problem is when it goes that high, all of a sudden the bots tend to sell, and we can see that here in the transaction history. So here, all these ones that you see here, the detective lookalike with the drained ETH, these are all bots, right? The bots are looking at the memory pool and they're placing a transaction with a higher GUI, with a higher gas fee, in order to go ahead of you. So for example, here you could see this person tried to buy. The bot saw that they've got an order for 18 KTON. The bot bought in exactly the same moment. Just before that, the bot got filled at 266 on average. That person then traded at 277. He got in at 277, and the bot immediately sold. How do I know it's the same bot? Because of the address here. You can see it ends in 8ED4, and exactly the same here for the sell order, right? So this is how you can tell, and then you can check the transaction as well to see how it's been doing. But yeah, nevertheless, I do think that KTON has a potential for 10x, and this is being absolutely conservative. I mean, just to remind you here, the market cap is $11 million. It does have a very high probability to get to 110 million, no doubt about it in my mind, as long as these things happen. They need to get listed on Huobi, right? And I am pretty bullish on that. And the fact that they're also on ERC20 token, we've seen Binance list Fala Network, we've seen Binance list Staffy, which is the FIS token, all ERC20, right? Binance seem to want to list the .eco tokens, which are ERC20. So what's to stop Binance from listing Ring and KTON, right? Okay, just speculation, right? I'm just speculating. Maybe they're not going to list them. But I think that the higher probability is with Huobi, and the fact that the market cap is so low, and the fact that when they get the parachain slot, they're going to be put in the spotlight. Now, the worst case scenario, of course, it could mean that it could even halve from here. If these things don't happen, if they don't get the parachain slot, if they don't go on Huobi, because we could have this scenario too. We have to be realistic here, not just moon boys, right? Or moon girls. But yeah, I mean, if that does happen, then we could potentially see the price go down if the bear market comes, right? Of course, it could go down. It could drop below 100 as more and more people that are staking KTON would be unstaking. And again, you can see that action on Subscan. You can monitor Subscan.io. I like monitoring with Subscan because on Subscan, you can see how many people are staking and unstaking every day. So I strongly recommend you check that out. I've actually done a video showing you how you can use that tool for your own benefit. to kind of get a general idea of who's staking, how many are staking, how many are unstaking. And you basically get a general feel for the sentiment, right? So yeah, 14 days lockup is pretty good, right? It does mean that it's basically people that believe in the project, because they also have to pay that fee to swap back. So yeah, this is pretty much it. I don't have anything else to cover, but I just want to say I really think that KTON has a potential to go to over 100 million easily in this bull market, as long as we hold up, right? As long as we hold up. So let's keep an eye out and see if we're right. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, leave me a comment telling me your opinion. What do you think of KTON? How high could it go? Thank you for watching. Bye bye.